There are moments in life, especially in the quiet hours, just after the world winds down, when the silence doesn't feel peaceful anymore. It lingers in the corners of your room, no longer soft or comforting. Instead, it feels dense, almost tangible. You sit in the same chair you've always trusted, perhaps under the same dim lamp, and notice that your mind refuses to rest. Thoughts trickle in without permission. Old memories, distant worries, questions about tomorrow, and before long, unease settles beside you like an old acquaintance who never really left. But here's something we rarely hear. This restlessness you feel, it isn't a flaw. It isn't a malfunction of the mind or a sign that something has gone terribly wrong. What if, instead, it's something sacred? A gentle nudge from within, pointing not to your weakness, but to your depth. In the teachings of the Buddha, suffering, including this kind of inner unease, is not a mistake to be erased. It is a signal, a path, even a teacher. Modern life conditions us to hide discomfort, to escape it, mute it, or bury it beneath distractions. But Buddhist wisdom invites us to do something much more radical. It tells us, lean in, listen closely. The discomfort may carry the very message we've been too busy or too afraid to hear. And in the later seasons of life, when the rush quiets down and we find ourselves alone more often, this message begins to echo louder. The noise of constant doing fades, and what remains is our presence, our thoughts, our breath, and our truth. This is where real inner work begins, not in the noise of achievement, but in the calm of reflection. So in today's journey, let's explore one transformative idea from the heart of Buddhist wisdom. It won't promise to erase anxiety or silence every storm in your mind, but it will offer a new way to see it, a gentler way, a wiser way. This teaching has calmed monks in silent monasteries, guided soldiers on uncertain paths, and brought peace to everyday people, just like you, searching for light in their darkest hours. If your mind has ever felt like a cage, if your heart has grown tired from carrying invisible burdens, if you've spent nights wondering why peace feels so far away, stay with me. What we're about to explore isn't about ignoring pain or pretending to be okay. It's about understanding. It's about liberation. Because the truth is, you are not broken. You are not weak. You are simply being called to look at your inner world through a new lens. Let's not begin by resisting the anxiety. Let's begin by sitting beside it. Let's meet it where it arises, in the stories we tell ourselves, and in the things we struggle to let go. 1. The root of anxiety: grasping and resistance. Anxiety doesn't arrive without reason. It doesn't fall from the sky like a random storm. In Buddhist thought, it has origins, deep and ancient, and they often go by two names: grasping and resistance. These aren't just abstract terms, they're patterns, deep habits of the mind that shape how we meet the world. Grasping is what happens when we hold on too tightly. It's the internal voice that clings to comfort, to familiar routines, to the people and identities we've built our lives around. And when something threatens those attachments, as life inevitably does, fear rises up. The mind protests. This can't change. I need this to stay. Resistance is the mirror image. It's the part of us that turns away, that pushes back against discomfort, pain, aging, loss, uncertainty. Resistance says, not this, anything but this. We brace ourselves, hoping that if we just resist hard enough, the suffering will pass us by. But here's the truth. Both grasping and resistance are exhausting. And more importantly, they trap us. Because nothing in life is permanent. Not our bodies, not our emotions, not even the people or stories we love the most. As the Buddha taught, all things that arise will also pass away. And it is our refusal to accept this truth that quietly feeds the fire of anxiety. I remember a dear friend named Daniel. He was a former Marine, known for his discipline and morning rituals. Every sunrise, without fail, he walked the park trail near his home. It gave him peace. But after a back injury, he could no longer continue. What troubled him wasn't just the physical pain, it was the loss of that familiar rhythm, that identity. "I feel lost," he told me once. Like the part of me that mattered most just disappeared. In that moment, I asked him gently, "What are you holding on to, Daniel?" He fell silent and finally said, "The me who still felt strong." This is the silent root of our anxiety. Not the changes themselves, but our refusal to let go of what once was. When we grip the past or resist the present, we leave no room for peace. And into that space, anxiety steps in and whispers, "You're losing control." But here's the liberating truth, straight from the heart of Buddhist wisdom. We never truly had control to begin with. Like the lotus that rises through muddy water to bloom in the sunlight, our peace doesn't come from perfection or control. It comes from surrender. It grows when we loosen our grip, when we stop trying to force life into shapes it no longer fits. You are not your morning routines. You are not your youth. You are not the image of who you used to be. And the more you begin to release those attachments, gently, bravely, the more you'll feel anxiety beginning to release its grip on you. As the Dhammapada reminds us, from attachment arises sorrow, from attachment arises fear. But one who is free from attachment knows neither sorrow nor fear. So ask yourself this: what might shift if you unclenched your inner hands today? What if peace doesn't live in the past, but right here, in your willingness to welcome this very moment, exactly as it is, the thought that sets you free? This too is only a thought. There comes a quiet moment in every life, perhaps in the stillness of early morning, or amidst the noise of an ordinary afternoon, when a thought suddenly appears, uninvited. It lands like a stone in the chest. It may whisper, "Something's wrong," or scream, "What if it never gets better?" And before we know it, we're no longer grounded in the present. We're caught inside the thought itself, spinning stories, anticipating disasters, feeling lost in a storm of what-ifs. But there's a simple teaching in Buddhism, gentle yet deeply powerful, that can cut through this fog. It says, this too is only a thought. Let that settle for a moment. Because not every thought is true. Not every thought deserves your trust. Some are echoes from old fears. Some are habits, patterns the mind has been repeating for decades. And some are just the brain doing what it was designed to do: imagine, anticipate, protect. But here's the truth. A thought, no matter how convincing or overwhelming, is not reality. It's just a passing cloud across the vast sky of your awareness. There's an old saying from a wise monk: don't believe everything you think. Even the thoughts that seem urgent or dangerous are often just ripples on the surface of the mind. When we meditate or pause long enough to observe our inner world, we begin to see that anxiety, no matter how big it feels, often begins with a single, unnoticed thought. And that thought gains power, not because it's real, but because we believe it without question. Let me tell you about someone named Helen. She's 76, a widow, adjusting to the quiet stillness of a house once filled with laughter. Since her husband passed, Helen found herself struggling with small, persistent fears. What if I fall and no one hears me? What if I forget something important? What if I start slipping away? These weren't irrational fears. They were rooted in reality. But they weren't happening. They were just thoughts. Still, each one brought panic, racing heart, shallow breath, restless mind. Then something shifted. Helen began attending mindfulness classes at her local community center. In one session, the instructor asked everyone to write a sentence on paper. This thought is not me. It's just a thought. At first, Helen felt awkward repeating it, but over the weeks, that sentence became her quiet mantra. When the fear returned, she would pause and say it softly. This thought is not me. It's just a thought. And slowly, her anxiety began to loosen its grip. In Buddhism, This practice is called non-identification, the understanding that your thoughts are not who you are. They are not your essence. They are simply movements in the mind, like wind brushing through the trees. Some are useful, some are not, but none of them define you. The goal isn't to fight your anxious thoughts or shame yourself for having them. The practice is to recognize them clearly, to say, "Ah, I see you, thought. You're trying to protect me, but you are not truth, and you are not in charge." That small shift, from living inside the thought to standing beside it, changes everything. As the beloved teacher Ajahn Chah once said, "If you let go a little, you'll have a little peace. If you let go a lot, you'll have a lot of peace. If you let go completely, you'll be free." So next time the wave of anxiety rises, meet it gently. No resistance, no panic. Just whisper to yourself, "This too is only a thought." And let that truth steady you, like a lighthouse in the storm. Third, mindfulness, returning home to the present. Sometimes it starts with something so small, just a flicker of unease while sipping tea, or a tight knot in the chest while folding laundry. Nothing dramatic, just a sense that something's off. For many elders, especially those navigating life alone or moving through quieter days, this soft hum of anxiety can slip in like a breeze through a crack in the window. It's not loud, but it lingers, and it quietly pulls the mind away, from now into a maze of what-ifs or into memories of what once was. But mindfulness, as taught in the heart of Buddhism, offers a gentle but profound way back. Back to ourselves, back to the breath, back to this very moment, the only place where peace has ever truly lived. Mindfulness isn't about silencing your thoughts. It isn't about clearing your mind or reaching for some perfect state of calm. It's about seeing clearly, feeling fully. It's about becoming present to what is, without needing it to be different. It's learning to feel your breath move, to notice how your body sits, to hear the birds outside or the hum of silence inside. It's the art of simply being where your feet are, instead of wandering through yesterday or trying to guess tomorrow. The Buddha once said, "Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." And that teaching speaks directly to anxiety, because anxiety always leans forward. It's a mind scrambling to prepare, to predict, to protect. But the present moment asks for nothing. It just invites you to arrive. Let me tell you about a man named George. He was once a carpenter, a quiet man with calloused hands and a tender heart. After his wife passed, the silence in the house grew heavy. It echoed through the halls. Small worries began to fill the space. What if I forget something important? What if I fall? What if I become a burden to my children? His doctor gently recommended a mindfulness group at the local center. George, not knowing what to expect, showed up with low expectations and a curious heart. That first day, the instructor asked the group to close their eyes and simply follow their breath, not to control it, but just to feel it. George later said, "At first, all I noticed was how loud my mind was. But then, I began to hear the birds outside. I felt the warmth in my hands, and for a moment, I wasn't worrying. I was just here." That moment changed something. 5 minutes a day, George began sitting in his garden, hands on his knees, eyes soft, breath steady. He didn't try to quiet his mind. He simply watched it, like leaves drifting in a stream. And over time, those leaves floated by with less weight. The fear didn't disappear, but it no longer ruled him. That is the quiet miracle of mindfulness. It doesn't erase the struggle. It teaches us to sit with it, without judgment, without panic. To remember that we are not our worries. We are not the storm. We are the sky holding it all. And mindfulness is merciful. Even when your mind wanders, as it always will, the moment you notice, you've already returned. That awareness is the practice. That return is the healing. So if anxiety visits you today, don't meet it with resistance. Offer it no war. Instead, offer your breath. Return to what you can touch, your feet against the floor, the breeze on your skin, the rise and fall of your breath. This isn't running away. This isn't denial. This is returning home. As Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh said so beautifully, feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor. So take a breath now. Feel it move gently through your nose. Feel your chest rise. And as you breathe out, say to yourself, I am here, and here is enough. 4. Compassion, the gentle power that eases anxiety. Anxiety doesn't always shout. Sometimes it arrives as a whisper, an unkind voice that questions your worth, your strength, your right to feel overwhelmed. It isn't the world judging you. It's your own inner critic asking, why are you like this? Why can't you just be stronger? And over time, that voice doesn't just create fear, it buries you in quiet shame. But Buddhist wisdom offers a soft yet profound response. Compassion, not just for others, but for yourself, especially for yourself. Many of us were raised in times when emotions were hidden, when endurance was praised and vulnerability was seen as weakness. You gave and gave, to children, spouses, aging parents, often silencing your own exhaustion. And now, when there's finally space to feel, everything comes rushing in. The anxiety, the grief, the weight of years unspoken. But the Buddhist path reminds us, peace doesn't arise from perfection. It grows from gentleness. As the Buddha once said, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. These words aren't just poetic, they're a healing balm. Let's look at the story of Ruth. 79 years old, a retired nurse, a caregiver by nature. Strong, reliable. She was always the one holding others up. But after retirement, and especially after her sister passed away, Ruth found herself waking up with waves of anxiety. She didn't understand it. She felt ashamed. Why now? She asked. I've always been fine. At a local mindfulness retreat, a teacher asked the group to try a simple practice. Place a hand over your heart and repeat silently. May I be kind to myself in this moment. May I accept myself just as I am. Ruth couldn't do it at first. It felt strange, even selfish. Her chest tightened. Tears came. But the teacher gently reminded her, this isn't about ego. This is about turning toward your pain, not away from it. That was the turning point. Not because her anxiety vanished, but because she stopped feeling alone inside it. She began writing letters to herself, forgiving the weary parts of her soul, acknowledging the days she felt too broken to keep going. Slowly, something softened, and in that softening, healing began. In Buddhism, compassion is a sacred medicine, one meant not only for others, but for the self. And like any medicine, it must be used consistently, especially in moments of suffering. Here are a few ways to practice it daily. Speak to yourself as you would to a dear friend. Instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Say, this is hard, and I'm doing my best. Place your hand gently over your heart when fear arises. A physical reminder that you're still here, still worthy, still trying. Notice your survival. Celebrate it. You've walked through fire and kept walking. That matters. Compassion won't erase all pain, but it transforms how we carry it. It doesn't fight anxiety, it walks beside it. As Thich Nhat Hanh beautifully said, when you love someone, the best you can offer is your presence. The same is true for yourself. So the next time that anxious voice returns, don't push it away. Sit with it. Offer it stillness. Ask, what are you trying to tell me? And listen, not to fix, but to honor. Because sometimes, all we truly need is to be heard by our own heart. The thought that loosens the grip of anxiety. This isn't mine. This isn't me. There are moments, sharp, quiet, often lonely, when anxiety clings so tightly to us that we start to believe it is us. The racing pulse, the restless mind, the constant unease. It begins to feel personal, like part of our identity. We stop saying, "I feel anxious," and begin saying, "I am anxious." That shift in language is powerful and dangerous. But Buddhist wisdom offers a gentle reminder that can dissolve this illusion, like morning light melting mist. This is not mine. This is not me. This is not who I am. This isn't about rejecting your experience. It's about unbinding from it. It's not denial. It's clarity. You are not your suffering. Over 2 millennia ago, the Buddha introduced a powerful concept called anatta, or non-self. He taught that the thoughts, emotions, and sensations we experience are not who we are. They come and go like passing clouds, but we are the sky, vast, quiet, unshaken. When we cling to pain and call it me, we suffer more deeply. But when we observe it without attachment, we begin to remember our true, unchanging nature. Let's bring this to life with a story. Walter was 82, a widower learning to navigate life without his lifelong partner. Since her passing, he described a persistent tightness in his chest, a low, constant hum of dread. He couldn't name it at first, only that it was always there. "It's like I'm fading into the fear," he once said. During a weekly meditation class, the group was guided through a practice inspired by the Buddha's teaching on non-identification. With a hand over his heart and a quiet breath, Walter repeated the words, "This is not mine. This is not me. This is not who I am." And something shifted, not a miracle, not instant calm, but space, a little room to breathe. In the days that followed, Walter returned to that practice often. When anxiety surfaced, he didn't resist it. He acknowledged it. "Hello again, I see you," and gently reminded himself, "But you're not me." Over time, it stopped defining him. He stopped disappearing into it. He stayed present. This teaching isn't about erasing difficult emotions. It's about not drowning in them. The Buddha didn't promise freedom from fear, but he did show us how to move through fear without becoming fear itself. Let's break the mantra down. This is not mine. You don't have to carry this like a burden with your name on it. This emotion isn't your property. It's just visiting. Let it come. Let it go. This is not me. You are not the tension, not the storm. You are the awareness watching it all. You are the calm center behind the movement. This is not who I am. Anxiety may arrive, but it doesn't write your story. Your identity isn't shaped by fear or sadness. It's built on presence, on stillness, on love. Next time anxiety rises, try this. Pause, breathe, say the words silently. This is not mine. This is not me. This is not who I am. You might notice that the emotion is still there, but its grip loosens. Its identity dissolves. You're no longer lost in the storm. You've become the sky that calmly holds it. As Thich Nhat Hanh wisely said, "Feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor." This thought, this mantra, becomes your anchor, a guidepost when the path feels unclear. And the older we become, the more these teachings matter. Aging brings changes, goodbyes, and unexpected aches. But none of that defines who we are. Because who we are, beneath it all, is awareness itself. You are not your fear. You are the space in which it rises and falls. You are still here, still whole, still holding the sky within you. A gentle practice. Living the thought day by day. Hearing a powerful teaching can feel like fresh air after a long time indoors. It moves something inside you. It feels true. But real transformation doesn't happen just from hearing. It happens when you carry that truth into your everyday life. When the phone won't stop ringing. When the dishes keep piling up. When your joints ache and your heart quietly wonders, will it always feel this way? This is where the work begins, and where the deepest peace waits. The Buddha didn't share teachings just for monks on mountaintops. His wisdom was meant to be lived in kitchens, on city streets, in the stillness of everyday moments. So the phrase, "This is not mine, this is not me, this is not who I am," isn't just something to recall during meditation. It's something to bring with you into your mornings, your worries, your quiet nights. Let's try it now, together. Take a moment to pause. Sit or stand. However you are, let it be enough. No need to adjust or perform. Just notice your body. Now, inhale slowly and exhale with ease. Let your breath feel like a gentle presence, a hand resting lightly on your back. Bring to mind something that's been quietly troubling you. Maybe it's a small anxiety buzzing in the background, or maybe it's something heavier, a choice, a fear, a memory that lingers. No need to judge it. Just hold it like you'd hold a stone, steady, curious, with care. Now begin to say, silently or softly aloud, "This is not mine." Pause. Feel how the weight shifts slightly. "This is not me." Pause again. Notice the space growing between you and the emotion. "This is not who I am." Let that breath carry you. You're not pushing the feeling away. You're simply not clinging to it anymore. Now imagine your breath is fresh air moving through a house. It flows through the room of your worry, gently clearing it. No force, no rush. And the house, that's you, still here, still whole. The worry? Just a visitor. It doesn't live here. It doesn't hold the key. And this practice, you can use it anywhere, not just on a cushion, not just in quiet rooms. You'll need it at 3 a.m. when your thoughts won't let you sleep. You'll need it when the silence from someone you love starts to ache. You'll need it when your body reminds you that everything is changing. In these moments, don't aim for perfection. Just return to presence. Breathe in, "This is not mine." Breathe out, "This is not me." And again, "This is not who I am." Then go on, wash the cup, stroke the pet, fold the blanket, listen to the wind rustling the trees. In this way, the teaching becomes part of how you move through life. And over time, your nervous system begins to understand. You're safe now. You're not lost in the past. You're not drowning in the future. You're here, breathing, alive, still whole. As Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us, the present moment is filled with joy and happiness. If you are attentive, you will see it. This phrase, this gentle thought, is your way back to that joy. It helps you remember that your core self has never been anxiety. Your true nature has never been broken, only buried under the noise. So when worry returns, as it sometimes will, don't run. Don't push it away. Greet it with kindness. Let it sit beside you and gently say, "This is not who I am," because you are the stillness behind the storm. You are the quiet in the noise, and you are the love that holds it all together. If you've listened this far, I want to invite you, just for a breath, to pause. Because what you've heard isn't just a message, it's a doorway, a soft reminder. Anxiety is not a flaw. It's not proof that something's wrong. It's a messenger, inviting you back to what's real, what's peaceful, what's you. The Buddha never promised a storm-free life, but he gave us something better, the wisdom to stay grounded when the winds rise. And this thought, this mantra, "This is not mine, this is not me, this is not who I am," is one of the most powerful tools you can carry. Repeat it when the night is long, when your chest feels heavy, when the silence grows loud. Let it soothe you, not as a weapon, but as a healing touch. And maybe, just maybe, anxiety will stop being your enemy. It will become your teacher, revealing how deeply you're capable of peace, of resilience, of returning home. So I'll leave you with this reflection. What might your life look like if you stopped clinging to what was never yours and started walking with what brings you back to your center? If this touched something in your heart, share your thoughts in the comments. You never know whose night you might brighten. And if you'd like more reflections like this, rooted in Buddhist wisdom and spoken with care. Feel free to subscribe. You'll always have a place here. Until next time, breathe deeply, walk gently, and remember, you were never broken, just waiting to be remembered.